Hello, welcome to Scottie's Playtime. I'm Scottie. Sorry I haven't taken time to adjust the lights nor make sure I look pretty for the camera. This is just something it's that I need to say. It's getting late in my day. I woke at 4 a.m. and I got up at 4:15, put my feet on the floor and started my day. But as the day went on, I read more and more and more horrible headlines. I haven't even gotten to the LGBTQ sites yet. Nor have I answered any other blog that I love. Shouldn't have been a D on the end of that. And I have not been to videos that I enjoy, other than the couple that I posted, all which are relevant to the election because the headlines just keep coming in. So I'm going to go over some of the headlines and I will reserve the fuller stories in them for tomorrow, because Ron just made me a wonderful supper of a smaller salad. Our big salads are made in big plates. I don't know what they're called for most people, but we just call them the big bowls. You know, we use them for spaghetti and sauce and that kind of stuff. Regular soup bowls of a smaller size are used for what we call small salads. And yes, I eat a lot of salad. I love them. I crave them. And I crave the stuff he puts in them. Okay, so he also made 2 grilled cheese and provolone and ham, thin sliced ham. Not thin like deli sliced, but he bought a pre-cut ham. We get them when they're on sale in that, and they are so good. And so he made sandwiches of them. I ate one sandwich, and then I ate my salad, and I saved my other sandwich for breakfast tomorrow. I'm nothing if not frugal. Okay, so the headlines I want to get to, and I'm going to be looking in this direction because they're on that on that computer. Okay, so some of the ones I saved that I hope to get back to is Trump refuses FBI background checks for nominees. Well, we knew that was coming. And then there's a video of putting RFK Jr. in charge of health breaks the first rule of medicine. Sorry, tripped over my own tongue. It is getting late for me, and after I eat, I get so sleepy. Ron says it's part of diabetes. The next headline I had saved to post: Southern Baptist Convention public policy head takes aim at LGBTQ plus rights and abortion access in Trump letter. I'll get into more of these in detail. Ryan Walters says more than 500 Bibles purchased for Oklahoma public schools. He doesn't explain where the funds come from And trust me, on this individual, it gets worse as you read the headlines. Okay. He also targets immigration plans for the end of U.S. DOE and is desperate to get Trump to nominate him as Secretary of Education so he can kill it. But before he kills it, he will insist on vouchers for private schools, substitute Christian schools. He will insist that Bibles be taught in every school. Okay, next headline I'm working on. Trump's defense secretary spent his college years crusading against glorification of diversity and the homosexual lifestyle. Basically, what you need to know about him is he's a supremacist. In his years in the military, he railed against woke. What that means to him is not male and period. He is a white supremacist, not racist. He wants a total mention. He's a Christian nationalist. Has tattoos of the cross and that all over him. Guess the part in the Bible that says, "Do not mark your skin." Well, these people choose what they want to believe and what they don't. So yes, he's railing now against women in combat. Can't have women working with military men because it gets messy. Might it be because he's on his third wife because he had affairs on the first wife with somebody he was working with, on the second wife with another woman he was working with. See the pattern? So his reasoning is better to get rid of women entirely. They're the problem, not his little man downstairs, which seems he cannot control. He does not think the idea of having controls put on his little man is important or should be allowed. But he does not like DEI or CRT. He doesn't know what it means, but he's pretty sure it means allowing black people to have equal status to whites. That's a bad thing in his mind. I hate to tell him when he was in, well, first let me just explain his reasonings for not wanting women, not wanting black people, not wanting gays, lesbians, or the rest of the LGBTQ plus in the military. He says it creates unit strife and prevents unit cohesion. But the truth is, he's a Christian nationalist, white supremacist. And they are trying to get people like him out of the military. Not Christians. White supremacists. Because the military has functioned well being integrated. And, quite frankly, 40 or 50% of the military is not white, and another 20 or 30% are not or cis. So, the ones having disunit or dissension in the unit like him. And now he's going to be possibly in charge. just please stop and think about what that means. The people who cause the dissension, who blame it on everybody else, is going to be in charge. Scratch my head, but if they get rid of all the people he mentioned, who's gonna fight their wars? People like him used to tout the Russian military, how tough they were. They didn't allow anybody but white men, and they were he-man, and they didn't allow any gays or anything. They were straight cis he-man. And they got their ass kicked by civilian forces in Ukraine and showed the rest of the world how they're not a world peer. They're not a top tier feared nation. Ukraine had been kicking their ass and showed how this second largest military power has been held up for 4 years. Think about it. But at least the soldiers weren't woke, right? Okay, going on to the next one. Oh, I forgot about this. So, Oklahoma school chief Walters, that we talked about a minute ago, mandates students watch announcement of new religious department he plans and intends to institute in Oklahoma. And if he gets Trump's nod for education chief, all over the country. Oh, I plan to read this to you in entirety tomorrow. It's this Ryan Walters is, well, he was homeschooled, I imagine, and drank the Kool-Aid. Let me tell you about what happened, just as an aside. In the 1980s, religious leaders realized public school was teaching science and leading kids away from religious myths. So they instituted 2 programs, religious school and homeschooling, for those that couldn't afford to put their children in religious schools. Since 1980, they have taught, and Huckabee, who is now the ambassador to Israel, who only likes Jewish people because once they're all there in Israel, his God's going to come back and either force them all to convert to Christianity or strike them all down. That's in Revelations, and he believes it. But anyway, he's their new ambassador. I don't know whether to congratulate them or to just say, well, you ask for what you get. But anyway, or fuck around and find out. But this Walters guy, he's been drinking the Kool-Aid for a long time. Like I said, since the 1980s, they've been homeschooling kids in the myth that the country was established as a Christian nation. That was the reason for it. And it was blessed by God until the heathen left stole it. And they just need to take their country back. Their country. Notice, not all of our country, but their country. I know because James, the young man that lived with us for years, when he was a teenager, went to a Christian-run school. It was Catholic. And he would come to us as a teenager every day after school, and there's reasons for that, but I won't go into them here in this video. You can ask me in the comments and I'll tell you. But he would come and tell us of the misinformation he learned that day. And we would go on the internet in our living room, Ron and I, and lead him through the truth. Sadly, to pass the class, he had to repeat the lies. But he knew the truth, and when he left the school, he left the religion entirely. He understood the lies they were forcing on him. And you wouldn't believe now these are accredited schools. They were forcing on these kids in the name of religion. Every one of our founding fathers was a die-hard Christian, fighting desperately to get their Christian views into the nation. Why it's not mentioned in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution? Well, because things were different then. Everybody knew. They just knew how it was supposed to be. Anyway, going on, let's look at some of the other stories here, because there are so many, and I have to be careful because I don't want to close any out. And this is getting long, and I'm sorry, I only want to do one video tonight. Trump transition team compiling a list of current and former U.S. military officers for possible court-martial. Anybody not loyal to the leader be court-martialed and remove a convention. And guess who's going to head it up? Yes, Mike Flynn, disgraced former whatever he was that had so much ties to the Russians and was trying a channel for Trump. Yeah, that's what they do. And the Secretary of the Defense that have in Hershog or whatever his name is, he's okay. Loyalty comes first when you're a fascist individual or a Nazi. Alright, and what else do we have here? Okay, quickly running through them. Oh yes, I read that one to you already. And okay, yeah, mandates. That's not a word. Oh yes, I wanted to tell you quickly about this. Trump sends 10 billion legal threat to the New York Times. How dare you print anything that's not complimentary to the dear leader? That's the new world order we're in the United States. You will kiss Trump's ass or you will lose your licenses. And one of the tabs I have up here is one of the nominees saying they will pull the licenses of TV networks and stations that do not kiss Trump's ass, that will say anything against him. Report the truth, you're gone. Okay, remember, what do dictators do when they first take over? Strongmen. They take over the courts. Trump's done that. Then they take over the military. He's done that or doing that. Then they take over the press, and they make them all state press. after that, there's no one to oppose. Viktor Orban style, they always are in office and always popular. Because who would dare to contradict that? Right? We have 2 years, people, to fight against them, and then everybody get on board and vote for as much Democrats in the lower office, the Congress, as we can. House and Senate, especially Senate. And for those that think that low information voters didn't have the information, I just watched Sam Cedar and he had a chart. The more you didn't see news media, the higher you ranked Trump. So yes, low information voters carried Trump to the finish line. We simply didn't get our message. Us Democrats did not get our words out to the people who needed to hear them. Okay, so let me see if there's a few more articles here. Oh, yes, CDC and WHO, that's the World Health Organization, warned that measles cases are surging at the same time that Trump's going to appoint RFK to lead Health and Human Services. I wiped out my whiteboard. I had that. I spent 2 days over the Sunday shows and decided it just wasn't worth reading to everybody. Okay, Pete Hegseth, what a name I'm gonna have to learn to pronounce. His college years crusading against the glorification of diversity and homosexuality. Oh my God, he was a racist, bigot, misogynist even in college. There's just no help for some. Okay, so this. Oh, I already talked to you about that one. I told you that the Southern. No, maybe I didn't. Southern Baptists asked Trump to limit LGBTQ rights. And because there's no bigger issue for the electorate than rights of gay, lesbians, and the non-binary and women. It was about the economy. They couldn't buy groceries. Eggs were so high. But what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to go after the gays. They're going to go after trans people. Tell me, what does a trans person do that affects your life? Do you even know if there's any in your area, your town, your state? There's per capita, there's 336 million people in the U.S. How many do you think are trans? If you think 2,000, I think you'd be wrong. I haven't looked it up, but the last time I did, it was like 1,400. Spread out over 336 million, not a lot of them. And as far as trans athletes, they're not winning trophies, they're not taking awards. Look up the stats. Google it. Search it. It's not happening. It's a boogeyman made out of air. Made out of nothing. Just to scare people. Think about your daughter. Okay. You're in a bathroom and say you're a woman and you're worried about a trans man coming into the bathroom. How many times do you think it might happen? If you're in some states or some areas, it couldn't happen. There's no trans people. Okay, moving on. I beat that horse to death, but I'm gonna talk about it some more tomorrow. Oh, I have that one up 4 or 5 times. Um, okay, so coming down here, um, I told you about the court. Oh, yes, Nazis now march in Ohio, open and free. It's a new world. Oh, yes, and in Arkansas is $500,000 in over the LGBTQ book battle that they lost. I'll talk about that tomorrow. We probably won't in the Trump administration. Trump claims Project 5 author to leave CC. You know what that means? Anybody who says, oh, their leader will lose their license. He'll try to make them lose their license. Trump demands recognition. Iowa pollster who said he wasn't. Again, do you see the way this is going? People say a word against the dear leader. It's like $1 billion New York Times. Size us in the something for you. Next one I have saved. Oh well, we must have massive. That's going to be interesting. And panic over Trump's deportation plan. As I've been telling everybody, immigrants to our country, taxes, even social security number, grateful, increasing. They don't claim to the Social Security office for 20, 30 years. I'm illegal in the country. Back? No. So, new country. Okay. Just did GOP official guilty? Well, that's normal for GOP. Yes, says deploy again. Back to the panic. I watched videos on the Sunday show of farmers saying they could pay $26 an hour and still couldn't get workers. You got to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning. It's hot. It's buggy. It's miserable. And I did it for 3 days as a teenager, and I frickin' won't do it. If that, and I was picking corn. I'd been in cornfields and grew. My abusive adoptive parents grew corn, and I was forced to deal with that. But there were 3-4 rows at most. I spent 3 days on this produce farm, and I walked in the night of the third day, and I said, I'm not going back. And they said, okay, we'll put you in the furniture factory. Sorry, but that shit's frickin' miserable. And that these immigrants are willing to do it, gosh dang it, by my dogs that love gravy. Bless them. Okay. quickly need to wrap this up. So, yeah, I'm trying to find. Oh, yes. Marjorie Taylor Greene, our wonderful super intellect from Georgia, wants national divorce from treasonous Dems. We'd like a divorce from her, but I don't think we're going to get it. And another thing about that Ryan Walters, Oklahoma schools chief goes full Christian supremacist. I'll get to that tomorrow. That meow you heard was from Tupac. He's been brought in for the night, and he wants me to go to bed with him. He does not like to be in the bedroom alone at night when he first comes in. He's with it in the mornings. GOP considering cuts to Medicaid and food stamps. Of course they are. The only thing not being considered for cuts are subsidies to corporations and businesses and wealthy people like Elon Musk, SpaceX, and Tesla. Okay, I looked into this. I really wanted to do it. Cruise line offers 4-year voyage to escape Trump. Unfortunately, it's $139,000 a year, and I don't qualify. Everything, including gratuities, are included. High speed via Starlink, of course, and all food and drink, along with gratuities and everything else. But anyway, the last 3, and then I'm going to close this down. Yes, honey, I hear you. Down in a minute, love. Cats are so demanding. We're just servants to them. Okay, so the Secretary of Defense wanted me. He is on an extremist podcast host penalty for abortion, trans people, and who else? So let me look. Oh yes, and trans care. And let's see, what's the last one? Oh yes, well, pro-Trump Muslim leaders rage over his nominee pick. Get into it, you drink the Kool-Aid. It's like the Arabs in Michigan who refused to vote for Kamala because she promised them stuff she couldn't. But she at least amenable to change her position. They didn't vote for her. What'd they get? They got Trump, who already said he wants luxury resorts on the beaches of Gaza, and he sees no reason why Israel shouldn't annex the West Bank. Good choice, people. You really helped out your Palestinian brothers. Well, she wouldn't say she would stop arms or that she'd hold him accountable. So we're going to go with the guy that already promised to let him do everything he wants. Smart move. Anyway, this is Scottie. This is also Scottie's Playtime. I almost goofed that one. Best wishes to everybody, and as I always say, hugs to those who want them. And there's an off button here somewhere.